First off, I work here at Burandt's Backcountry Adventure 7 days a week. I'm in the shop usually from dark until, I don't know, hours after dark. It's a full day. I'm in the shop just taking care of kind of obligations here until 10 o'clock at night at the earliest, just about every night. And then to throw on top of it, trying to build 3 hill climb snowmobiles and then be competitive on them is no small chore. I found myself being a little frustrated, just all the builds taking me so long and just wishing I could be practicing or working on myself for hill climb and not just I feel like every second I was spending on hill climb was just trying to get my snowmobiles in a place where I could race them. And then I show up to the first race and I got a whole bunch of illegal parts on. I got helium hood on an improver, I got a brake lever on an improver, I got handlebars on it, I got an anti-stab skid because I took an old skid and built it basically to match what the new OEM skids are, but because it was aftermarket parts, I had an illegal skid in. Kind of just trying to find ski brakes and realizing you need a quick drive belt every run and you're going through brake pads every 2 days, and it's a learning curve. And I don't know, the hardest thing for me was just kind of it's tough to just jump into it and kind of know what to do, but thankfully I have a ton of awesome help, and I'm pretty much, the race environment and the group of guys is absolutely incredible. You could call, you can call the top guys in the sport and they'll drop everything to help you or give you, if you need this, they're there and they'll give it to you and they'll help you out. Everybody's willing to help everyone, but yeah, I would say it's a scramble trying to get sleds done. And then it's not just once you get them done, you go race them once and you pretty much have to redo everything you just did because you just broke or bent or ripped apart a track, or it's always something, or something didn't run quite right, so you switch a whole bunch of stuff and then you're kind of starting over from square one. It's a lot of work. It is, and it's tough to find the time to get it all done, because when you find any time, you kind of want to be practicing and working on yourself, but you find yourself more so stuck in the shop. Yeah, we build a ton of snowmobiles, and we kind of build them all to do what we do, and that's ride the backcountry, the steep, gnarly trees. We're not hitting massive holes pinned at 50 miles an hour. So kind of learning the whole way you have to build a hill climb sled and all the parts you have to gather, and just the runnability of the snowmobile. I got a ton of experience getting snowmobiles to run at 11,000, 12,000 feet, but all the races are at 6,000. So getting snowmobiles to run down there and clutched right was another learning curve. It's a little easier on the turbos and the mod sleds, but stock sleds and improvers, I struggled with a little bit, ran into some troubles at the first couple of races, but yeah, the amount of time that it takes to truly be a hill climb racer and be competitive, it's a full-time job on top of a full-time job, and it's pretty amazing the level and the amount of competition there is across the board. Everybody there is flat out going for it.
Welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the lighter. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. Welcome to the fire. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. Welcome to the fire.
There's a lot of people that kind of have that motto of cash or crash, but the amount of people that at them races that can wrangle that and put in solid run after solid run right on the verge of crashing is crazy. And that's a pace that I need to work on finding, is that very fine line of fast enough, be as fast as you can, but just right below that verge of crashing. And I ride a little bit different in the backcountry. You can if you get kicked off something, you just drop below that tree, or you go above the tree, or you do something a little bit different. You're searching for lines versus like staring at a line and you have to make it work. So that's something I've had to work on a ton, like just getting my mind right, for one, to just take off from a dead stop sitting around all day and try to go like you gotta just be in a mindset to go, and trying to also with that, like, force your mind to not look for lines anymore, to have to like go to certain places as fast as possible. And like, you're doing all this, and like, other than Jackson, you're doing this in a relatively like 45-second run. And I mean, it's not much time. I'm used to riding 6-7 hours a day and kind of, I mean, following the terrain as it goes. I mean, being super aggressive in places and kind of just getting from point A to point B in others. So it's been a learning curve, and looking forward to next year and kind of going into it with a little bit, I need a little bit better mindset and kind of knowing the program and knowing what to do. I mean, just even showing up at the races and like just asking everybody, so what do I do next? Do I need to sign up? And what, like, just trying to figure it all out. And luckily I got good friends. Andy Thomas texts me about every single day, hey, make sure you sign up for your classes. Today's the last day. Or just like, hey, make sure you do this to your sled. We saw this. And it like, it's a full-time gig. If you were to go look back through my search history between the ages of 8 and, I don't know, 15 years old, I bet I watched hours of Jackson highlight reels, crash reels, the whole works. I mean, that was watching like Chris and like watching all the old Sledneck videos, Garth, and like now I'm on this stage, and like to even think about, like, if you would have asked me even 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever, 100, or when I was 10 years old watching all those videos, if I would one day be racing at Jackson Hole, let alone at like the highest level in the biggest classes, I would have been like, I would have thought that would be something pretty dumb to say, but kind of to get to that point and you don't really let it all settle in because you're just so busy trying to get everything ready and trying to practice and trying to get like just prepared for this race. And you can kind of just every once in a while sit back and be like, just take a deep breath and be like, holy shit, we're doing this. This is pretty cool. And just to hang out with all those guys, I mean, it's really cool and humbling, and the most respect for all of them. And I just kind of show up out of nowhere to try to compete at these races, and it's pretty cool to get to be a part of it. So here we are, like Thursday, worked on sleds all day pretty much. Worked on sleds all day in the trailer, just re-screwed tracks, new track, clip tracks, making sure everything's good, new brake pads, new quick drive belts, dialing everything in, checking all the nuts and bolts and all the hardware. And then like Friday morning comes around, qualifying day. So now all of this work and all this stuff we've been working towards for months, you kind of, it all hits you. It's like, okay, now I have to, we're actually here. Now it's time to actually do this thing. So you kind of, the amount of nerves is pretty unreal. There's just so many people there. It's so foreign to what I do, because I mean, I ride 100 plus days in the backcountry a year with 14 new dudes every 3 days. And I mean, we ride for 6-7 hours a day, and it's just, I put on thousands of miles, and then to go and like look at these minute-and-a-half runs and have to think about them so detailed, like thinking about every gate, thinking about that hole that you saw when you walked this morning, thinking about the log, the stump, the gate 25 all the way down to gate 1, where you're going to hit the first archway, where you're going to hit the corner before the timing lights, like where you're going to come out at the top. Just to think about all of those aspects, it's just kind of like, and then to also circle back in your mind and be like, quit thinking so hard and just ride up the dang hill. Like, it's so easy to overthink it, and there's just too many places where just like you should just ride, because I mean, it's just normal riding with a few more obstacles in the way. And I get up in the morning and I take the gondola up at 7 and walk down the track and look at where they moved the gates to and check it all out. Then slip and fall and take a ice luge ride on my back about a quarter mile and fly through the fence. That's a whole totally different story, but just like thinking about all of it and like making sure the sleds are ready, getting the sleds up to the starting line, being at the riders meeting, and then watching the other classes, because watching the other classes go in the morning on the ice and like just watching, like thinking, man, I should have practiced this. Oh man, I should have practiced that. Oh, this is not at all what I practiced. Oh, should I switch this on the sled? Just thinking way too much. And just learning kind of all of that, but you watch all like the racers that are, I mean, at the top of the classes and super competitive, like they all are too, and it's amazing how well they can put all of them things together. Like you can see them hit those lines where I find myself on the course a lot, like, oh crap, that was that line I was gonna go inside on, but then being like, oh, I better pay attention to where I'm still going and try to finish this thing. So like qualifying day at Jackson is really different. It's on a groomed ski hill basically. There's not very big bumps, holes, ruts. It's kind of just really fast-paced two-ski turning around corners, and that was something that for next year I am gonna spend a lot more time practicing, because it's something you gotta make. There's a lot of time to be made at the bottom of the hill, and if you're slow in that, it's pretty hard to be competitive there. But I mean, everything down to having to go pee. Like I remember it from racing motocross when I was younger, like having to pee, that urge to pee every 30 seconds because you're so nervous. And it's like, what are you even nervous for? But yeah, I mean, you talk to all the other racers too, and I've asked them, like, how many races do you have to do before you don't have to pee, like every 5 seconds before the race? And they're like, well, the second you don't have to, it's time to quit. So, I mean, just learning to deal with all those nerves and stuff, because I mean, the last time I was nervous in the backcountry is like, I don't know, never. I mean, unless something's like super sketchy or unsafe or something, I'll maybe like be like, man, I don't know, this is a little sketchy, but generally I'm not used to riding in that mindset. Or in a mindset where you know you have to make it happen all in a minute, and you can't just like go back down to the bottom, turn around and try it again. That's a frustrating part, because I'm so used to, like, if I don't get a line, I'm gonna turn around and hit that thing until I don't either have a snowmobile left or myself left, because I'm gonna get up that sucker. So the hill climb where you come back down, it don't matter. You don't get a second run. So you that's another part where, like, finding that pace, like having a mindset where you still need to go, because I mean, other people are gonna go, but having that mindset where you can't be afraid to make mistakes, because if you ride at a pace where you're just kind of smooth and not gonna make mistakes, you're not gonna be very fast. So I've been working on that too, because I need to go faster. The season by the March has put a pretty good toll on the body, and I crashed into a tree about a week before the race, and took a handlebar to the ribs pretty good, broke a rib. So I was dealing with that. So I wasn't very pumped. Finally, I get to the point where I'm ready to practice on Sunday and Monday, and I was hurting, I was struggling. I took about 15 to 20 minutes to try to get out of bed in the morning, and that was tough mentally, because all I wanted to do was go and practice, but I really kind of had to tiptoe around it a little bit, trying to maintain somewhat being able to race. And then going to qualifying, and in my 9 mod run, I get up to gate 25 and I hit a hole just wrong, and the handlebars kind of pull, where my body was pretty loose, and the handlebars just kind of pull out of a hole, and it pulls my left shoulder out of socket. So I dislocate my shoulder gate 25 or 6, somewhere in there. And it's been a problem for a while. I've had been to the doctor, and the shoulder needed surgery before this whole ordeal, and I haven't gone back in, but was able to get out the top in that run and actually qualify. And I mean, it had to get the shoulder back in, and then it hurt worse than normal. Couldn't really do much with my left arm other than run the brake, but was able to, got her taped up and rode Sunday, and that is something I'm gonna get fixed. The only reason why any of this is possible is mainly Chris Burandt and everyone at BBA for all the help and advice and just being in the right place. My family, Carl Cycle Sales, Polaris race team, the engineering department, Darren Gould, Darren Headland, all his guys and all his help has been amazing. Zollinger, Skins, Climb, Bikeman, Voke, Pulsifer Construction, Cold Cutter, Alpine Motorsports, all the racers, I mean, throughout all of them, I mean, have been just a ton of help. I can't even list them all. Mainly Andy Thomas has just gone over the top with helping me and just being a really good buddy. My family and friends drove all the way out from Minnesota to help and watch at Jackson, which was awesome. Followers on social media, for all the love and support. Appreciate everything. You know, growing up, it was always I don't even know if it was a dream. It was just something I looked up to and looked at, like what these guys were doing in Jackson Hole Hill Climb. And now getting to be in the middle of it, I want more. I want to be competitive. So I'm going to work a little harder, try to find some more time to dedicate to practicing on the snowmobile, and I'll be back next year.